lighthouse to the nation. Anchor your children, strong foundation. Shine your light into generations coming.
Could I ask you to... Thank you, everyone. The recording is in progress. So, Marie, can I ask you just to start with the practical for this evening?
Yes. Good evening. So the Zoom seminar experience, we would like you to just take note of a couple of things just to make it easier for everybody. First of all, you can use the speaker view at the top right-hand corner to then you can see the current speaker and the slides which are shared. At the bottom left corner, take note of the mic icon for muting and unmuting. During the seminar, we will mute you so that there is no disturbance on the recording. Please take note of the video icon. The videos will be turned off for purposes of streaming. During the seminar, we will turn all attendees' sound and video off for ease of streaming. Both the bottom middle of screen, you are welcome to make use of the chat box by accessing the speech bubble. Our panel of rooted families will answer your questions at the end of each of the session, and you are welcome to comment or send us a hands up or a smiley emoji or whatever during the seminar. We love your feedback. If you like what we say, you can use the reactions. There is a button there, and we will answer your questions during the question and answer portion of the evening. The sequence of the evening will be a presentation by Martie and some of the rooted families, and then we will turn on our videos and open the floor for questions and answers. In case you have a bad reception, you are welcome to use the same ID to come back into the Zoom. I will make sure to keep an eye out for such instances, and I will admit you back in. Please just make sure you have your name on, but if Galaxy A3 does that, I will remember who you are. This seminar is being recorded. Should you have trouble to connect due to load shedding or for whatever reason, the recording is available, please just send us an email so that we can know to send it to you. And we will forward it to you via Telegram, so it's important that you just make a note of that. Enjoy the evening with us.
Thank you, Marie. And is everyone admitted?
Good evening, everybody. Let us speak to the most important person in the universe and use this privilege. Our Father, our awesome Father, thank you that each one of us was created by you. You formed us in your image and your likeness, and you formed our children. And we thank you that you are in the people business, that you love what you do, and that we may be your co-workers tonight. Every one of us is important, those who speak and those who don't speak, because all of us were given voices by you, and what we speak creates. So we want to use our voices wisely as speakers tonight, but also as parents to our children, so that they will become wise adults. Thank you for your word. You speak so perfectly, and we gladly listen to what you say. Amen. I read from Matthew 9, verse 37. You see it on the screen there. I read from the Passion Translation. Jesus walked through the region with a joyful message of God's kingdom realm. He taught in their meeting houses, and wherever he went, he demonstrated God's power by healing every kind of disease and illness. When he saw the vast crowds of people, Jesus' heart, listen to this, was deeply moved with compassion. The Greek word means his intestines were yearning because they seemed weary and helpless. That's why he was filled with compassion and moved. They seemed weary and helpless, like wandering sheep without a shepherd. He turned to his disciples and he said, "The harvest is huge and ripe, but there are not enough harvesters to bring it all in. As you go, plead with the owner of the harvest to thrust out many more reapers to harvest his grain." As Jesus was wandering in his time, healing people and doing his work for which he was sent, he was astounded by what he saw. He was moved with deep compassion because he didn't see leaders. He didn't see shepherds. He saw sheep, but he didn't see someone who leads them and who follows the great shepherd. So what he calls for is workers. He tells his disciples, this is the thing you can do as you go, and we must do, is to pray for workers, because the time is right. The time is right. Now, it's not so much a lack of workers as it is a lack of the focus of the workers. There were many people, but their focus was wrong. They worked for the wrong, what will we call it? The wrong motive, the wrong person. Their mindsets needed to be changed. I mean, there were a lot of people, parents, they didn't lack, the children didn't lack parents. The parents were there, but they were not working for their own business, their own education business. They were not working with the Father who is in the education business. He is educating us all the time. Therefore, he left us his word. So the workers needed to have a mindset change, to realize they were divinely appointed and divinely empowered to do the work. So Jesus says the harvest is ripe. So you know what happens when there is a harvest. It needs to be taken out of the land, out of the environment, out of the worldly system. Perhaps there were once a time where governments could be trusted, but far from it at this moment. The worldly system has infiltrated governments, has infiltrated even education systems. So we need to hear by the owner of the harvest what we should do with the harvest being the people that needs to be gathered, the people that needs to be as I said, gathered. And Jesus says, this is the solution. You have to pray. You have to ask. You have to plead with the one who is omnipotent. He is waiting for us. We are his co-workers. Yes, he can do the work. He can send angels, but he chose to give children parents and not angels to educate them. So shepherds are needed. And you know, a shepherd is someone who takes the lead, is someone who takes authority and responsibility. Shepherds were usually men. So gone are the days when we thought that the education is the work of women. It is the responsibility of us men. Yes, and women are excellent in doing it, but they are not the only ones. So that being said, if you look at the screen, what will come up is a few pictures of photos of leaders in this work, faithful workers who were there from long ago, who took the lead. And we honor them tonight as they led us to this point. And we really bless them, taking us forward, being the shepherds who will also turn us who are listening tonight in taking us with you into this awful business of education. We are very blessed to have you. So also welcome tonight. You will hear as listeners a new sound in education. And I think the sound that is the clearest is the sound of our Father in heaven, who wants his children home, who wants us to take responsibility to take all those around us with us to experience him in a greater way. You see the tree there. Sometimes the roots carry more than one stem. And I remember Jesus said, I'm the true vine and you are the branches. So yes, we are rooted in him. We're called rooted families as well. And we are here to extend a hand, to keep one up, to pray for one another. And especially also our children, to make them ready for what is coming. Thank you, Lord Jesus, for your presence. Thank you for this time. We pray that we will experience you tonight in a way that we have never experienced you before, and that you will get what you told us to do. As we pray for workers, we will get the workers. They will come into your kingdom and glorify your name. Amen.
Thank you so much, Henk, for sharing. And it was so powerful just to remember with that last quote that you shared with us, that we are all rooted. And yeah, Martie will share more with us.
Yes.
Thank you, Martie. You're there.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Henk and Sarlene, for supporting the rooted families. Sarlene is also leading with Henk the prayer movement for this, for the rooted families and for Lighthouse. For those of you that's new to the homeschool landscape, I want to introduce you to some structures. Many years ago, they established the Pestalozzi Trust. Now, not all nations has this wonderful privilege to have a Pestalozzi Trust or a legal defend trust. There's the Hillsar movement in America, but like the other evening, we had a Zoom session with England, and they really battled to stand together to have a voice. So we have the Pestalozzi Trust. They know the law. They've written some of the law on home education. And if there's any approaches that needs to be done, it will be the Pestalozzi Trust that will speak up for the families in South Africa. There's also associations in the different provinces, and it seems that the government does not want to speak to individuals. They rather would like to speak to an association, and so it's important that you know who's your association in the area. Then there's the Dynamis Institute, as part of the Lighthouse 360 organization, and we are here to empower families. We are selling you to yourself to make a statement about what you believe about education and what's your values about your family. There's also curriculum providers and learning material and support groups that have very much in a way exploited families over the COVID period specifically by selling online material that's not necessarily to the interest of the child. And that's for that reason that some of you need desperate help tonight to what it's all about. Everything that's sold is not necessarily in the interest of the child. Now, if we look at why families are successful over the years, if we, for instance, have 450,000 families in South Africa, half of these families are using fixed curriculum or formal curriculum, and half of those families are using material that they made up themselves. But if we look at the research over our nation, in our nation, and also other nations, 22 years of work in our nation for myself, and then maybe 30 or 40 years further, these families have believed that their home is the best place. That's the place where the goodness of God can flow to the families, and they're satisfied with that. So it's important to know that if you look at veteran families, they didn't find or try to seek their answers outside of the home. Their home gave proper education, proper interaction, proper character development, bringing up the families to a whole grown person. Also, these families have made up their curriculum through real books, real life, and real relationship. Now it's important that we measure, how we look at successful families in the educational field. Also, these families have not just attended to the head education, but the hand as well as the heart. And they gave equal emphasis to that. And by 14, their children could already interact in these areas, self-working and responsible by the age of 14, and then definitely not rushing into formal work at a young age. But in many instances, these families would wait up to 10 years before they start with formal work. And it's this for this reason that I could not but help but to move on with the Dynamis Institute to the next level of Lighthouse vision, where actually we brought about the Uncapped education system that is for the whole South Africa, as well as a service to young people, the Step Up movement. And so when COVID started, I duplicated myself. I started to duplicate myself to 30 families that's now active in South Africa, proclaiming this good message of the family being the first place of education. And now there are these 6 families that's very active that you can use to support you. And what is the next slide? The message that we give to you in your hand is the Uncapped education model. It's a tool in your hand. You can fold it up and you can see what is the message to an adult as well as to a child. What does the child expect of an adult? If you can go to the next slide, Marie. What is the responsible as you as a parent? You can measure to what you hear tonight, whether you are acting responsibly to your own family, and you will hear the cry of your own children by the message that you hear. So we start then with the interest of the child. Enjoy the evening.
Thank you, Martie. Yeah, as the first part of the hexagon, I think it is really important for us as parents to remember that we have the right and responsibility to act in the interest, actually in the best interest of each individual children. or our individual children. And Marie, if you would just move on to the next slide. So I think when we started, my husband and I, actually I first want to read this, that this is the South African Schools Act, 84 of 96, and is the section 51, but it says that right to education is the right to develop all aspects of the human personality to its fullest extent. And when we started homeschooling, we did exactly that without even knowing the law. But we had a biblical worldview that motivated us. And it gave us so much peace that we raised our kids with a value system that we believed was really the best for them, truly preparing them to be healthy and productive, contributing adults. So this was not just in the interest of our children, but it was also in the interest for us as parents. And as parents, our main job is to facilitate learning, to provide opportunities for our kids to learn about, Martie just mentioned, to learn about real life, how to handle pressure, real relationships. I think that was one of the most important things that we have learned as a family, how to do teamwork, gain significant skills. And we have the opportunity to teach our children really everything that we know, from farming God's way, photography, graphic design, even marketing and hospitality. And I think many more that I won't mention just now, but we have the freedom to make adjustments. We can be flexible to changing circumstances, and it does not bring any disruption to our home or even to our children. And even like in a global pandemic with COVID-19, we could continue with our educational plan. And we as parents really need to be courageous to fight for our children's future, to be fearlessly searching what is best for them, because the agenda we have as parents is not the same agenda that the state has for our children. So in 2021, December 2021, the Bella Bill has been submitted. And this bill has the potential to take away the rights and the freedom of home educators, but not only home educators, also public and private schools, cottage schools, learning and tutor centers, Christian schools, and even online schools. And it takes away our right and freedom to choose the kind of education that is in the best interest of our children, to develop all aspects of the human personality. So it also transforms, you can go back, Marie, sorry, the landscape of home education into a mere state-controlled school system. So it makes it easy for the government of the day to monitor it. So the Bella Bill, the problem with this Bella Bill is not is in the name, because the Bella Bill says it is a basic education amendment bill, but it is actually not that. It is a school amendments bill, because what it is amending is the South African School Act. Sure, I really had to learn those words. I hope my English is good enough. But the government of the day, what is happening here is that they want to transfer their values to society. And it is not about educating our children to become productive citizens, but it is actually educating our children for political purposes. And the government attempts to ban home education. So if we are acting in the best interest of our children, and if we are taking responsibility to develop the whole person, then there's a call of action to us as parents, because this Bella Bill has been submitted. And what can we do? It is really important for us to get involved because this bill has been submitted, so it will be open for public comment. And the best that we can do is to join public presentation, the Pestalozzi Trust, different associations, Liberty in Learning, and even the campaigns. Because, as I said with my first slide, is that we as parents, we really need to be courageous enough to fight for the future of our children so that we can develop whole persons.
Thank you, Griselda. And I hope to encourage you that you must let yourself be motivated by your own worldview. God designed the family and children, and he called them a blessing. So he must have something special in mind for each one of them. When you start out with homeschooling, you must begin with the end in mind. There you have my photos of my 3 children. Melise is a tutor in Afrikaans with small children that start to read, and Beate is an illustrator, and Pietrich is an entrepreneur doing a lot of things. I can keep you busy the whole night with all the things he's doing. One of the habits of successful families is to begin with the end in mind. That writes Stephen Covey in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Successful Families. He explains in the book that a pilot does not fly an airplane without a flight plan. He doesn't start flying and hope to come out somewhere, or start out and say, oh, well, I'll see where this plane takes me. No, a pilot begins a flight with the end in mind. And that is what we must keep in mind when we start out with homeschooling. Where do you, as a parent, want to end up with your child? Is it a child with a matric? Or I want a happy child? Or I only want a child who will have a job one day? Or do you also say, well, I will see as we go? Or I'll ask on Facebook and they'll help me. It is better to focus on a well-educated child, a child that is well-rounded, with a high self-esteem and emotionally nourished. But most important of all is a reborn Christian that will share eternal life with you. Then you, as the parent, must be intentional about it. But the question I want to ask is, will homeschooling get you there? It is always a good thing then to ask an expert and look at what the research says. Many studies have been done on homeschooling over the years and they are still doing research today. The study that I'm highlighting tonight is one that investigates whether there was a significant difference in university-level academic achievement between students who had been homeschooled and those who had gone to public or private secondary schools prior to enrolling into university. In the context of this study, homeschool students are defined as students who were taught by tutors, parents, or guardians at home and then enrolled in the university in order to pursue a bachelor's degree. On the other hand, the other group they took were undergraduate non-homeschool students, and they are defined as students who attended public or private high schools and were taught formally by certified teachers with a prescribed curriculum and then enrolled at the university in pursuit of a bachelor's degree. It is essential that I also mention that a homeschooling program has a more open curriculum and broader resources for learning, where students learn through interaction with the community and the environment where they live. Now, what is the results of this study? It shows highly in favor of homeschooled students. And I want you that this must motivate you to stand up for home education. What attributed to this positive outcome was the parents' focus on enhancing the potential of the students by focusing on their needs their aspirations and goals. The main assertion was that homeschoolers have strong bonds between parents and students. And this helps the students to develop emotionally, socially, and intellectually. The relationships in families are very, very strong in homeschool families. What the study also found is that students are considered to be better situated at home, regardless of the state of the home they come from. It can be a shack or a castle. The important thing is the home environment is consistent in responsiveness to the students' needs and interests, and the students are valued and respected. They are taken as responsible family members, and they are taught to learn without formal instruction. The study found that homeschool students are individuals who can nourish themselves because they can learn what they want on their own. One of the main reasons for their success was that in homeschooling, students can complete formal learning more quickly and then undertake projects that interest them. In other words, they have more time to find out what interests them. This boosts their creativity and it increases their problem-solving skills, their technical skills, and language abilities. Interestingly, the study also found little correlation between the cost of education per year and the test scores of a homeschool child. Now the conclusion is, how do you get to the end that you have in mind? Well, it is simple. With the right environment, the availability of you as the parent, and self-directed learning, you will get a wonderful outcome. If the curriculum you choose contains the 5 Ds, you will be amazed at the results. Use as your foundation discipleship studies. That means you do Bible study and pray together. For discipline studies, you use a math and a language program. In discussion studies, you build your child's general knowledge and vocabulary. You can use a science program for this if you like more structure. And discovery studies are about things that you expose your child to broaden their mind and general knowledge. It is studies which stimulate and challenge your child. Discretionary studies is studies in which you give your child the freedom to choose about what he or she wants to study about. I can highly recommend the book of Clay and Sally Clarkson that Martie also mentioned, Educating the Wholehearted Child. It will give you a lot of hands-on information on homeschooling. And Martie will now shed more light on Know Your Child and Grow Your Child.
Thank you very much, Karen. So there's 7 hexagons in the biomatrix. Can you go back, please? 7 hexagons in the biomatrix of Uncapped Education. And the thing about the biometric is that all of these entities need to get equal attention. And I'm focusing now about the fact that we have to know the child, because we cannot act in the interest of the child to see how they can get to the fullest of themselves, of their personhood, if we don't know what we're working towards. And that's what Karen spoke about. If we also don't understand that the family is the first institution that God put in place, we also do not understand that we can be firm about our philosophy. Griselda mentioned something about banning home education. Now, I just quickly look at the purpose of the United Nations, the plan to get to sustainable development. If you just want to look at that, we also put it into the slideshow that we'll send to you for 2030. Now, if you look at those principles there, you will understand why we say that is not home education that they would like to, or governments would like to stop. It is all individualized education, because it is through education that you change the outcome of people. And so we will have a difficult phase purely because there's philosophies that we will not agree with as families. So if we go then to this next slide, I was always intrigued with the fact that during this 20 years of seeing families, and you come alongside them, and then you first give them information about the change of mindset, and then they come for a consultation where you look at the individual giftedness of each family. And when you start speaking words of life, or words of what the children can do to bring them to fullness of their personality, then they smile. It's so amazing. They always smile, like this photo in the middle. And then suddenly the parents say, but this child was on medication and he was an unhappy child and he hasn't smiled for 2 years or for 2 months. Why are you smiling? And then child said, Dad, because I want to do that what this lady said. And then this family would walk out of this session and everything would change. You see, we don't ask of you to listen what we say and take it for you as your story. We empower you to get your story, to find what God says to you. And the only way I can get the science or the psychology or the mechanism, what is at work, is the following picture. What happens with these families? And I got the answer in the Bible. I got the answer in the Word, where Ezekiel got a vision of dry bones. Now we talk about the Bible that wants to change the landscape in education. Now, if you want to ask us, why are we so sure about what we are doing? It is because we also speak about a landscape. And this landscape that Ezekiel found was this landscape of dry bones. You came to this meeting tonight with some dry bones. You can testify of a dry situation. Maybe you're a single parent. Maybe your child is on medication. Maybe the teachers are not supporting. Maybe you are totally burned out. But Ezekiel asked the Lord, can there be life? Can there come life? And he said, breathe life over these bones. Now, I'm in my 60s and I don't have to do this work. I can do, different work. But to work with families and to know that there will be a few generations from here, there will be positive outcome because of the investment that you've done into these families. That is what the Lord spoke. Just go back, Martie, to these bones. And he said, there's no hope, but if you speak life over these bones, they will come alive. And so this family here on the next slide, they also came, and many families come and they speak about the current situation, and the current situation will actually end in a disaster. Your situation might end in a disaster. Unless you come and hear an ideal plan. The ideal plan first says the family is the first institution. So he said, God said, the parent is the one that will bring the answer. He trusts the parent will bring the answer. And we explain to you the ideal way, in the sense that these 7 hexagons, if you pay attention to it, and we guide you to what should be done, and you do it, then everything starts working together, because you get confronted in your own ethos. What does dad need to do? That's what Henk said. What does the dad need to do? What is mother going to change? How are you going to put your energy, your efforts together, so that you can get to this place of educating your child to come to completeness of personality?
Yes, thank you, Martie. So when we talk about the curriculum, which is probably one of the reasons why people often come to us, then I can assure you that there has been research done over the years, extensive research over civilizations and through history, and that the evidence is clear that when the state starts to control the education, it is for the purpose of changing our service to the state instead of changing our service to God. So in the Bible, you can see that the words that God uses, and Henk mentioned it earlier, God is in the education business. So in the Bible, you can see the different words that I just blotted down just to show you of all the different words. You will find them in various scriptures, and the Bible there are many of them. And I want to encourage you to understand that when we talk about the truth, that the truth will set us free, and that when we are comfortable and, I want to say, courageous enough to share that and to be the person who decides what our children learn, then education will happen. Then you can look at the different philosophies, all the different philosophies, and all of those philosophies will mean almost nothing if the parent doesn't understand that they are the first curriculum. And when they do, then it really becomes education. Training should be what fathers do. Traditionally, it's become something in our culture, more something what a mother does. And early training provides us with various examples that the fathers are the ones who do it. You can see in Ephesians that he wrote to the fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. So it was about educating children and helping them to get to obedience to God. And we need to understand that all of that leads to a place where our children are able to be obedient to God for what He intends them to be. And when we do that, curriculum means that we love our children and we teach them about God. And when we do that and we introduce them to books, education happens. And it's as simple as changing a tire or teaching a child to ride a bike or fishing with your child. I know in Timothy 3, verse 16 to 17, it says, all scripture is God-breathed and is used for teaching, rebuking, correcting, and training in righteousness, so that the servant of God may be thoroughly equipped for every good work. The good work of a parent is education. So when we think about the fact that all knowledge begins with God, and that no knowledge can exist without God, then the only true education we can have is when we have God as our leader. Without the fear of the Lord, there can be no true education. And we will listen to the questions now to share with us how we measure this.
Good evening, everybody. Yes, what a privilege to be with you guys tonight. Thank you, Martie. And yes, you can just say it's such a privilege for us that we can be so honored to be involved with a group like you guys from the beginning. We didn't have to go the hard way and struggle with a lot of different stuff and figure it out and hop around. During lockdown, we experienced the whole, for the first time, we were a very busy family, busy in sport activities and a lot of things. And when lockdown happened, we just experienced this wonderful time together, being more peaceful, just having time to be together. And it's then when we contacted friend Frida to just guide us to Martie, and yeah, this whole experience started for us. So if you can go and see, how do we measure this? How do you know you are on the right path? We can just say that it happened for us that my dad, for instance, for an example, had his birthday now in September. And we just had the freedom to decide. We don't really know what to do by our grandfather. And he almost have everything that the grandfather can have, but he loves Herzog cookies. And we now have the freedom to just decide, let's do just math this morning. We are on our schedule. And let's take the day tomorrow and bake him the desire of his heart and be together. And somehow have a home domestic science project for the morning as well, and be in the kitchen and learn new stuff for that as well. So for us, that is just such a wonderful privilege to have the time and have the freedom to do wonderful things for special occasions like that.
Now, I can just add on that, like the first speaker said, it's about the freedom, and you've got flexibility with time as well. And it affords us the opportunity that we can sometimes, the girls can help us out on the farm, and we can show them firsthand how to do things and how we think about things, and really walk next to them and show them how we do it and why we do what we're doing. And especially it's nice actually that each individual kid can have their own ways. Like they said, everyone's got different talents, and this vehicle affords us the opportunity that we can explore and gives our children the opportunity to learn in the way that suits them best. And we can look after them and grow them as best as we can. Another thing is that we've experienced was the annual get-together, the homeschoolers get-together, which was a nice experience. You always think that you're on an island, and homeschoolers, you've got a small community, and there's not a lot of people that thinks the way you think and operate the way you do. But this weekend that we had there really opened up our eyes and minds just to see how many people is really involved on this vehicle, and it's actually making use of it and doing it a different way, or their way. There's not only one way to get to a certain destination. This vehicle actually shows us that there's different ways to get to where we want to go, and we can take the best road that fits our family the best, and that really makes a big difference for us as well.
Yes, and then just the whole thing on passions. That's such a wonderful thing for us. I think our first why we got involved in this was for the whole mindset of freedom. I didn't realize before I spoke to Frida how free this system, how free this can be. We don't have to be in an exact box with all the tests and all the exams and all the stress and all the tick offs. It has to be exactly like that. We can really take the time and the things that we love and the things that we are interested in and the things that we know a lot about, and really invest that in our kids. We now have time. That was also something that when lockdown started, I was almost ashamed. We pray and everything together each evening as a family. But then I realized our oldest daughter, I never really asked her to for example, a lot of things, as you said, are she born again? Am I sure she understands all that things? And all of a sudden, my whole mindset just changed to really invest the time for things that has eternal purposes and things that they can take with them as adults, not only to pass an exam, but to really but to really take the time and invest that time in things that they love and things that they can use for the rest of their lives. As you can see, I love to do needlework, for example, and we now have time each Friday. For a time now, we've invested some time to teach them needlework, and even the smallest one that's only 8 can do the whole thing. We do a lot of projects together, and I'm proud to say they really love that, and they can, for the rest of their lives, do needlework. And we also, for example, have something like a vegetable tunnel here on the farm, and the whole process that we can involve them in, from planting the seed and looking after the seed and waiting for that seed to grow, the harvest and the planting and the harvest is not always in the same season. That life goes through seasons, and the whole process of having a healthy lifestyle and growing your own food and having a healthy life, it's just things that's really matter to us, and it's not only academics, and they can be involved in all of that. And just the last thing that I want to say, that I can just affirm so much that a lot of you guys already said that I believe so much in, is that we are the curriculum. They won't do as we tell them. They will do as they see us do. Almost also like Jesus said, imitate me to his disciples. So, and that's quite a challenge, but also a wonderful responsibility for us as parents to say, you just look what I do, how I talk to your dad, or how I dress, or how I eat, how I praise the Lord, and you try and do exactly the same. So that also means that we have to step up as parents, and we have to grow, and that makes all of us grow if we can do that. So thank you, Martie, for being part of your team and just having this insight for changing the future of our own kids. We are very thankful for that.
Okay, I think it's my turn to speak. I'm very thankful that I got the opportunity to speak here tonight and to share my testimony. I'll just give a quick introduction to me, to myself. I'm 23 years old. I'm the oldest. I have a brother and sister, and I've been homeschooled my whole life long. From the age of 7 through to about age 19, I've been homeschooled, and we did the uncapped education. My mom did that with us, and I loved homeschooling, and I never went to a formal school. I never felt the need to go to a school, or I never said to Mom, I want to go to school just like the other kids. Homeschooling is all that I know. And I love that very much. And I can't wait to do it with my kids one day too in the future. So I loved it. And matric was my first formal test I have taken. I never did a formal test while I was homeschooled. So, and I did the GED matric. I decided I want to do that because I'm as a late bloomer, like my father. And I didn't know when I was turned 18, I don't know what I want to do. So really, what do I want to do? So, and then I started a business, a bread baking business. And I did that for a year before I did my matric. And then I said, okay, I'm going to do my GED now. I did the bread baking business for a year and stopped it and says, okay, now I'm going to do my matric. I know I love learning, and whatever path I'm going to choose, the GED will be helpful, and I just want to do it for myself and to build my confidence and see, can I do, and the GED is standard to high school education diploma of America. So I did that, and I came through with flying colors. I had no problem. I feel or felt that I had lack or skills lacking to do it or to accomplish or to complete the GED. So I did that and I felt very proud. The only disappointing thing about my matric was when I got it, I felt so proud. But all the people that asked me so much, are you going to do a matric and are you going to do it? And I said, yes, I'm going to do a matric. And when I finally got it, nobody asked me anymore. It says, oh, nobody asked how much did you get through? Did you get straight A's? Did you get high points? It says, oh, you got a matric. Oh, you're fine. This is, oh, come on. You're always asking me so much about it and pressing on. And now I have it and now you don't, I'm not interested anymore. That was the only disappointing thing for me. So, and through homeschooling, I could do my passions and do my own business. My first business I did, I think I was about 12 or 11 years old. I started to train dogs for people in the neighborhood. I trained them basic stuff for people like to sit and to listen and to lay down and how to take them on walks so that they can learn to walk properly along their owners. That's the first business I started, and that was one of my passions too. And then before I did my matric, of course, I did a bread baking business. I baked bread for the town. I delivered at 2 shops twice a week, and I baked it for a year long, and I loved it. I learned to make sourdough bread, and I still bake bread for my family today. It's my responsibility in the house to do the bread. They always tease me because they said I'm the breadwinner in the house. So, and if I miss a day, my brother will come to me and said, why isn't there any bread? He wants his bread for the day. So he loves the bread. And that's also one of my passions. And I'm currently now a Afrikaans tutor. I teach online classes for kids from 7 to 9 years Afrikaans. And I do that as well as part of my business. And I love it. And everything is doing through my passions. And you can build a business around your passions. And when you do a business on your own with your passion, I feel I have never worked a day in my life. So, and now I'm at 23 years old, you may ask, okay, but what skills are required in today's life, in today's new age? And here I listed the top 5 skills that is needed in today's world. This is from the website of top university skills needed for your career in 2030. They predicted is needed. And the first one is cognitive flexibility. You need to be flexible because we live in a rapidly changing world. There's constantly new things coming out and you need flexibility to adapt to this new environments we're constantly living in. And the next one is digital literacy. Technology is developing at a very high speed rate, and there is, feels like every day there's new technology coming out that we need to learn and to adjust to, and that we need to learn. And the third thing is judgment and decision making. Now, this is very important in today's life. And is this the right decision for me? Is this going to take me to the right path? Is it where I'm meant to be? And to make rational and common sense decisions in today's life is also very important. And the next is emotional and social intelligence. And I cannot say how this is a lack in today's young people, I find in today's world. It's very important because we get so much influenced by social groups and things, and we need to be aware, is this group influencing me in the wrong or the right way? And emotionally, we need to be strong in today's world. We live in a very challenging world, and emotionally, it requires of us to be strong individuals. And the fifth thing is creative and innovative mindset. And I think this is very important for today's, because we need more creative, innovative ideas for all in South Africa. We need new ideas, new inventions to make our world a better place in all areas in life. If you do your own business, if you work for somebody, or what, in all areas of life, it's needed to make creative and innovative ideas is needed for today. So, and it all came naturally through homeschooling. We have built this through all our homeschooling. We had the chance to develop it and through our daily chores, just to do the normal house cleaning of the day. We from young age, we took to cook meals for the family, and all that little things. You think it doesn't have a great impact, but it builds you up to make a great impact in the world one day when you are ready to leave the house. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Melisa. What a joy to listen to you. So you can see through Melisa's story and what I'm going to share with you that the parent being uncapped understands something, and then it's possible for us to change the environment where our children grow up. So our son was in school, but the system nearly destroyed him. And then when we took him out of school, we removed programs and systems, and he had the ability, he had the freedom to become a man. It required us to be uncapped, to follow principles that you've heard tonight and that others have researched before us, which were proven and tested over time. It wasn't easy, but the lack of life in our child compelled us to make this change in direction. One of the stories that we can share just to illustrate this is how removing him from the system created time for us to do things like fixing up this boat. And I can share more about that next time, but for now, what you can know is that what we've learned doing this is things that we still apply today. And it grew our relationship. We were able to use real books. We were in real relationships, and we were doing real education.
So if you are saying to yourself, did I pay 250 Rand for this silly story, this simple story? You have no idea what cheap fee that you pay for this wealth that will change generations from here. If it sounds simple, it's supposed to be simple. If something is not workable for the poorest of poor, it is not a success plan. And so this, we have never deviated from 2008, actually 1998 is when I started with this. But before me, there were many mentors, and I've listened to them and I read books. And so I've never deviated from the first day from this message. It's still the same message. But now we've put it down to 7 principles that can be tested. These principles can be used in a family. It can be used in a learning center. If you're a church leader and you want to start a learning center, people want to start a school. It's for the poorest of poor, for the richest of rich. These stories is an indication of what is actually leading to success. So the first thing is for you to get information. And if you feel that this information was not enough, because you've paid, we will send you the information, online seminar, or the transformation, or actually both, for you to get enough information. And the next step is, let us help you with a family profiling, just basically so that we can come alongside you and we just talk about your family. Last weekend, I had a family here from Potchefstroom. Man is in the medical world. And I say, where will you find another person that will just talk about your family? So we come alongside you. I think you have to go to the next slide, Marie. And then we will assist you to share with you the Uncapped philosophy. It's the Dynamis Institute that has done research, it's working, it's now part of a bigger picture, the Lighthouse vision that we say is an answer for the nation or nations. It can go much further. And we also say that if there are people, young people that have never had this opportunity, we will follow the same principle. So we assist you then by, after the information that you received, you can come to any of these rooted families, and I do still oversee all of the profiling before they see you for a consultation. So you can make an appointment, and then we help you with a plan. Now, the beauty is in the next month, in November, we will have a seminar on what does it mean to be uncapped. Now, we invite you to come to that seminar to find out whether you are actually uncapped in your mind enough to take your child where he actually should go in this modern age, but basically focus on principle that's working. And then in December, we will help you with a plan for your family if you haven't yet got that, by again coming alongside you and sit what is the strategy for your family. So it is not about what we are saying for in general. It is to find out what is important for your family. And to be able to get there, you need to have people that's been there before. You cannot take anybody to a place where you haven't been before. So it is to take you to that place for your family, and it's a lot of introspection. It is your ethos, it's your values. But because it happens, it's like when you're a company and you want to change the outcome of this company, you do not pay money and attention to all the old systems that didn't work. You say, what are we going to do next? And so what happens when you grasp this? The best from dad is coming to the front. The best of mom, and families put their efforts together with their children to reach that ideal place. People, you might ask, why are we talking about God and the Bible and all this old-fashioned stuff? If God is not in education, there's no education at all. And we have no ideal plan if we are not doing the God thing. So the first institution that he made was the family. And the parents are the first curriculum. So come with us on this journey of simplicity and liberty in education.
Let your light shine, let your light shine. Make a difference in this world and let it shine. Let your light shine, let your light shine. Make your house a home, a family of